Now we move on to our next panel discussion, which is CUET's impact on higher secondary schooling. We've lined up a stellar cast of panelists. Let me introduce them. Professor Geeta Bhatt. Professor Geeta Bhatt is Director, Non-Collegiate Women's Education Board, Delhi University, which has an enrollment of over 32,000 women students. She was also a former member of the Academic Council of University Delhi, and of course, for many of us, she's also a well-known political commentator on national TV debates. Welcome, Professor Bhatt. Our next panelist is Dr. Ashok Pandey. Dr. Ashok Pandey is a nationally respected K-12 education leader. He has over 37 years of experience, including as former director of the Alcon Group of Schools in Delhi. In fact, IIM Ahmedabad has recently published a case study on the impactful professional development program he carried out at the Alcon International School. Right now, he is a governing board member of the National Council for Teacher Education, Cambridge NEP Advisory Board for India, and also Crimson Education. Welcome, Dr. Pandey. I welcome now Dr. Arunabh Singh, who is the Director Principal of Nehru World School, Ghaziabad. He's an alumnus of King's College London, Hindu College Delhi University. He's also chairman of FICCI Arise for UP West, a member of the School Standards Setting Committee under NEP 2020. He's a Cambridge South Asia Advisory Board member and also a British Council School Ambassador. Welcome, Arunabh. My next panelist is Dr. Abhadev Habib. She's Associate Professor at the Miranda House, Delhi, one of India's top-ranked colleges. Secretary of the Democratic Teachers from Delhi University. She was also a former office bearer of the Delhi University Teachers Association. Welcome, Dr. Habib. Next up is Dr. Sudha Acharya. She's the chairperson of the National Progressive Schools Conference. It's an association of over 195 leading CBSE affiliated schools. Dr. Acharya is also principal of the ITL Public School Dwarka. Welcome. And Dilip, if I may request you to come on stage and moderate this discussion for us.
So, welcome our experts panel. Thank you very much for sparing the time. I know you're all busy people. You know, the common university entrance test, which is an innovation that's happened, I think you're all aware of that, it's created quite a lot of controversy because currently it's restricted to central government universities, but as I understand it, any state government can also opt, college or university can opt for admissions based on CUET. Is that correct? Yes? Or even a private university can. It's opt for it. So now the single test is going to decide, and I think the difference as I see it is that this test, the rankings are mandatory. They're not at least in central government, there's no discretion. Whoever comes at the top, they have to be admitted in the colleges of their choice. Is that correct? My reading of it? Yes. So, there are a lot of questions arise from that. Now, the way we are going to do it is, I'm not going to, I'll just ask you first whether what's your opinion of, are you for, against, or what do you think about CUET? Okay, and after that, I'm going to ask certain questions and anyone can answer, and please feel free to interrupt each other. I think that's the way to do it, rather than just having one person speaking all the time. If you disagree, or if you want to clarify what Professor Geeta Bhatt is saying, or etc., please feel free to do so. Let's do it in a in a friendly way. This is not a contentious debate. It's a friendly way. Not TV. No, but so that there's some clarification, you know, because right now it seems a bit confusing even to us. We have written a big story in this issue of EducationWorld. Those of you go on our website, you can read it. Some of the people are quoted in this story. And anyway, so let's start. Firstly, Professor Bhatt, what do you think overall about CUET? Is it in the national interest, or what is your general impression?
First of all, Dilip ji, thank you so much for inviting me for this very, very interesting panel discussion. You see, the common university entrance test, if we look at it, you know, from the perspective of the students of class 12th and the parents and their parents, We do know that, this is exercise which all families, middle class, lower middle class, or rich class, any class, all families, they go through this, horrendous exercise of applying to 10 universities, 50 universities, as per, the pocket allows and as per the accessibility for the parents and for their
So you're saying the
children.
multiple entrance tests.
Yes, so definitely they had to apply to 10 universities, their different fee structure, sometimes you miss the date of the entrance examination, so on and so forth. So by having a common entrance exam, the first thing is that it is now through just one single window of examination, there is an eligibility for the student of class 12th to apply to a large number of institutions. This year, there were 90 institutions or 90 universities which were part or have become part of the CUET examination, out of which there were 44 central universities, there were 12 deemed universities, 12 state universities, and rest were the private universities, which is a good 20 number or so, who decided that they are going to opt or take students from this CUET examination. So this is, I think, first point is that this has, a kind of a big relief to all the class students, that those who want to study in India, they can, through one single examination, through one score, they can apply to various universities for admission.
So the intention is noble, is to cut off multiple
and
tests.
it was more than nearly 1,551 programs. The student was able to access 1,551 programs in 90 institutions, in 90 universities, through this single examination. So that is a very, very big relief for, I think, any parent or to the student in terms of applying, through that exercise of applying to various institutions separately. Secondly also, I think one which I think needs to be applauded and acknowledged is that this exam was held in 13 Indian languages. This for a very first time that, examination was held in Indian languages, which gave an equal opportunity to students of various universities. I do understand that those who are, a large number of them, as I can perceive, who are here, these institutions are those who are very well-to-do public institutions, private institutions, and the students to whom they are catering to are also from pretty well-off, reasonably well-off families. But considering that across India, through various strata of the society, all those who are studying were able to sit, those who are non-English students, for them it was an opportunity to become part of an examination and get their admission into one of the top universities in the country, because this CUET was decided, for which more than 1,000 subject experts were involved, nearly 700 translators were involved in it. So it's a huge exercise which has been done.
Okay, so
but
that's your overall, you think it has more positives than negatives.
Yeah,
right?
and this is a part of the national education policy. Actually, the intention with
so that's your overall impression. Now,
Right.
what's your overall impression of CUET? I mean, you've heard the case for CUET.
Thank you, Dilip. You know my views. You have published, you have quoted it to me, and I wrote one famous article. CUET, CUET is not cute, CUTE. Just changing the words here and there. So that is where I come from. Yeah. At the same time, you will be surprised to hear me that I 100% agree with what Professor Bhatt has said. But there are another 200% where I don't agree. So what's the difference? Yes. Professor Bhatt has only said the positives, and which is true. Nobody can dispute it. That you don't have to apply to 1,000 universities, single window, so many languages. I mean, there is absolutely no dispute. Dispute comes with the unintended consequences.
Exactly.
So what are the unintended consequences? The same national policy which talks about something like this, in para 4.36 says that the present examination system has done horrendous harm to the students of senior secondary education, and it has given rise to coaching culture. This is yet another opportunity for that coaching culture.
Yes.
Did you hear or read 2 days before 30 students have committed suicide in Kota who did not qualify through IIT?
Correct. Yes.
Did you also hear that IITs have now made it compulsory that you have to score minimum 75% in your class 12 examination? So that is what we are suggesting from day one, DT.
Give some weightage.
Have CUET, no way, but give weightage to class 12 examination. Another unintended consequences, now this year, I think you should deploy C4 to do a research how many students from normal class 11 and 12 have gone to dummy schools.
Dummy school. Yeah,
Dummy school.
We're going to raise that question a bit later.
Yes, it is a devilish development in our education system when students are not coming to study class 11 and 12, go to dummy schools, and then do coaching to get into CUET.
So it's going to harm higher secondary education, right?
Higher secondary education, it is going to harm the human capital formation in this country.
Yes.
You see, you are producing children who are going through the culture of coaching. Cracking, cramming.
Yes.
And you want to build a human capital on Indian knowledge system? Totally contradictory. I can come back
That's
later.
your overall, yes, yes, Anurag, your overall assessment of QUET.
So, cute or not, but I am happy with it.
You're happy. Tell us why.
And my reason is, so I am a Delhi University graduate, and I got an opportunity to sit in a classroom from all walks of life. That's something Delhi University was doing, still is doing to a large extent. But now, 2 years back, 80% of students in economics honors at Hindu were from Telangana board.
Were from?
Telangana board. 80% of Hindu college economic honors was Telangana board. Only one CBSE student had qualified. And out of those 80 kids, 80% kids, 34 kids had 100% marks.
Okay.
So it was how boards are dispensing marks to students. It has been an open secret for the longest time. They say we will not moderate, but of course they do. So is this a less imperfect system than the one that we were using earlier? I think my answer to that is yes. And why are we scared of the coaching institutes? If the preparation that we are putting our children through, if our children are not valuing it, if their families are not valuing it, why aren't we moving to teaching them things that are required of them as they go to the next stage of their life? So if the coaching centers can teach them how to clear these exams, what's stopping schools from achieving similar results while still continuing to work on personal development of children as they've been doing already?
So in your opinion, the positives of QUET are greater than the negatives?
Answer to that is yes.
Yes? Okay, that's for the first round. Yes, Abba.
Yeah, it's on. Okay, so, I would like to say what I agreed with Dr. Ashok Pandey much more. And the whole, अभी जो बोला गया है कि coaching ही कर लिया जाए, school को redundant ही कर दिया जाए, this is what CUET is going to do. And the whole idea was that you take off the pressure from the student by saying that they have to perform in one single exam. And therefore, we move towards continuous evaluation in school. Can multiple MCQs hain, can they check expression? Can they check the in-depth knowledge of a student? Can they check cognitive abilities of a student? The answer is no. And this whole thing, the idea that coaching center is the key to everything, I think we are undoing what education means. I mean, what the whole idea because of which the Constitution saw education as a public good. It said that it does not only benefit an individual, it is in the benefit of the country that you give education to people. And I mean, we are forgetting that if the Constitution and if our forefathers would not have seen education in this light, we would not have entered this hall. आपका पार्टीशन के बाद, आपका कंट्री आजाद होने के बाद, आप कहाँ थे? और आपके माँ बाप कहाँ से पढ़ के यहाँ तक आए?
Please speak in English. There are many southerners like us who don't understand.
I understand. What I'm saying is that we have The country has moved from where it was in 1948 to this place only because of public funded education system, and because we had the idea that the education is not for an individual but it is for the country. Now, yes, there is a problem that different boards are giving marks.
Yes.
Why? Because see, whether you take PCM or best 4 as a criteria or whether you put CUET, all of these are filters. Okay? The filter actually is to keep away many more, because many more want to enter the system, and instead of responding to the need, to the gap between demand and supply, what we are trying to do is that we want to tighten up the filter. But for a government or for a policy makers and for those who want to look at education at a larger thing, we need to understand what a filter is doing to the most marginalized section. If we do not think that what this filter will do for women, what this filter will do for Dalit, Adivasi, Bahujan, minorities, then we are going wrong in our policies, and this will mean a more stratified system. It will mean more stratified society in next 10 years. Any policy does not right away show you what it is going to do, but policymakers and people who are looking at education should have the ability to extrapolate to see what it will do in 10 years. Now, I want to say this, that for the Northeast universities, the government had to give exemption. Why? Because if in this room I ask you, name 10 central universities, none of you, and I will also not be able to name you 10 central universities beyond 5, we do not know. Now, it is the local population which enters these universities. What you are doing is in Northeast central universities and in a less known universities, the students on their performance of class 12th were able to enter these universities. Why will they go for CUET to enter the same gate? So what will happen in due time is that, yes, people will focus much more on CLAT, people will focus much more on GE, cracking NEET, and we are also forgetting this will do a disservice to pure humanities, social science, to the what universities were offering to this country.
So are you saying that only the wealthy who can afford to go to coaching classes will be able to enter these universities? Is that your point?
It is not my point. It is the point made by Madras High Court judgment. It said that NEET type of examination, which are nationwide examinations, and therefore bulk has to be catered, have pushed the seats into the pockets of urban rich. That also. So Delhiwalas can congratulate themselves. Those who are teaching their children in CBSE boards can congratulate themselves that the policy makers have now pushed the seats of Delhi University into their pockets. If percentile method can be applied to CUET held in various days, the same process could have been applied to the board results also. It is lack of our will. It is a lack of our will that we have created another platform for coaching centers. It is also a matter of control and centralization. When the Constitution has put education into concurrent list, and if lakhs of students are going to actually state boards, how can a centralized examination demand should be based on NCRT? This is basically the government is saying that you can go to any state board, but finally you will have to come to this. Now, this is undoing what the Constitution. We are a federal country. We have to respect the rights given to the state governments also. Yes, many more state universities may
Abba, I think
because there is a
yes, we are going to come back on a second round. We are going to look at the various aspects of this, but overall, you are not in favor of CUET, right? Sudha?
Yeah, I agree with Dr. Pandey and Professor Abha. See, school is a space where not only cognitive ability is honed, you know, social, emotional well-being and mental health, and we take care of so many other things. It's
peer-to-peer learning.
Yeah.
Yes.
So cooperation, we are NEP 2020. It's a very transformative document, of course, no doubt. But it is focusing on content to competency, experiential learning, creating learners' profile, and all those things. Where do we arrive at with CUET one centralized exam? This is again another process of elimination. See, if board scores...
Was the previous examination helping us do all of what
No,
you are saying.
let me put my point first. Board scores, because of high cut-offs, there was a lot of stress among students. But we have enough statisticians to do normalize, and some kind of statistics could have been applied. If Kerala board, suppose all of them got admission in economics honors, we could have normalized their score with CBSE topper. Isn't it? So that was not done. My main thing is that with CUET, I find the economically weaker section, especially the girl children, they have been deprived. You know, they are saying coaching center. Will coaching center hone your knowledge, skill, attitude and value system? No, never. School is the place for that. Now the parents are saying, we are talking about dummy schools. I have suffered from that. After class 10th, all my toppers have left school. They are saying children are not required to write even a single sentence. In our times, we used to write précis, essay, and creative expression, as ma'am said. Where are these? And they don't want to enter into practical, doing practical, maintaining file, because it is not required anymore. They are talking in terms of cracking entrance exam. So earlier, only science students were going for NEET and JEE exam, as you said, coaching center. Now, even humanities and commerce, everybody, we have given on the platter this benefit to coaching center. So you find that the day CUET was announced, next day, all the coaching centers were ready with the pamphlet and advertisement. How come?
The point you're making is a devaluation of the school system.
Yes, we could have done that.
And it's given many monetary opportunities to coaching centers.
So are we going to create really socially, morally responsible citizens, or we are creating, we'll be defining our children by percentile and marks and how far they'll go into a top university and all those things.
Yes.
So actually, if I find only CBSE school students have got the benefit,
yes,
because they are pursuing NCRT book.
That's a very good point. I
so
think
we have
the
compromised
first round.
equity somewhere.
Okay.
We have
So
compromised.
now my second question is, I think what I understood is, instead of having a common entrance exam, what we should have done is standardize across the 35 school boards, make them equivalent and raise the standards, or find some methodology to homogenize the state boards and the CBSE exam right now. Am I right? Absolutely. So who wants to comment on that?
Professor Geeta,
Okay.
just before she comes, I want to extend what Professor Abha was saying.
Yes.
That is a very important point.
Yes.
You know, this CUET, its genesis is that government wanted to have a common entrance exam for central universities.
Yes,
to begin
correct,
with.
correct.
And for the reason that our central university, the reason that we are not able to name here 10 universities is that they all are functioning as regional universities as on today.
Okay.
So let us say, for example, in one region I will not name, students only of that area come. It is a central university catering to the local
Central
area.
but localized.
Local.
Okay.
And any student from foreign country, I would draw your attention here, coming to a particular central university will not have the flavor of the great country India. Will only have the flavor of that region. He goes back and he describes India in terms of that region.
Okay.
So a central system where a north child goes to northeast or north goes to south, that was necessary. So that was the reason.
No, I want to clarify this.
Yeah.
You know, it is not because of that. It is because most of the central universities are not performing the way they should perform. Otherwise, central universities are very few in the country, only 45. And their mandate is that they are not open to the local population, but to everyone. But what I'm saying is that if a central university is not so known, Delhi University, because it is performing well, because it has top ranking, and anyway, Stephens, LSR, Miranda House did not need NAC and an IRF. It was the experience of people, and the government could focus there.
Exactly.
Because
So
of the lack of the focus of the government,
correct.
they have
So,
become unpopular or not so popular.
So Dr. Abha and I are making the same point. I'm only extending it to the fact that now with CUET, what has happened is, on one hand, we are saying that so many universities have come under CUET. Do you know what has happened? Some of the universities whose ranking in the NAC is very poor, and they have got legitimacy because they have joined CUET. Oh, we are admitting through CUET. The fact is, They were not getting students, and now through CUET, there will be a supply of students to them.
But how will they get if the academic performance is not good? How will they
Because in
do
the
well in
ranking-
CUET?
Even in Delhi University, seats are lying vacant.
Yeah, what?
Even in Delhi University, today seats are lying vacant in many colleges on the periphery, campus colleges, leave alone campus colleges, but others are lying vacant. Similarly, 12 central universities which were taking students through entrance exam, because the local population, if they are kept away, see, if a student has to appear for CUET or an entrance exam, they would rather sit another year and take GE or CLAT. Why will a parent spend 80,000 or 1 lakh on a CUET? So what had happened to the 12 central university is, earlier also, that was the study, that even those 12 central universities which were open in 2009, and the government had made entrance through the entrance exam, common entrance exam for these 12 universities, the seats were lying vacant. Now that crisis will come much more, and it is because of that. The government themselves gave exemption to the northeast central universities, because they understood that nobody from Delhi or from Bangalore.
I can give you data to contradict that.
Yes,
I can
okay, Professor.
Yes. First of all, what Dr. Ashok Pandey has just raised, I would like to in fact inform him that his concern was that there used to be, there are pockets where it's said to be a central university, but basically the local students, they only come and they study there. Now, this time, this is for the first time when the CUET exam has taken place. And in this first attempt itself, out of the 90 institutions, 84% of the institutions had double the number of applications from students who are outside from that state. 44% of the institutions got 10 times more applications from the students who were, or the applicants were outside from the state of or the union territory. And special mention to the Northeast universities. In Northeast also, the universities which were participating, they had double the number of applications from outside, which were outside Northeast. In, for example, Tejpur University, it had about 3,000 odd applications which were from Assam itself, and more than 7,500 applications from outside the state.
So where do you get this data from?
This itself
is the source of this data?
This is all there on the website. You can check it. It's all the data in the Ministry of Education's website. You can check all this. Second point that I want to put forth is that this concern that is being raised, that this is only meant for only those who are, elite, or those who are rich, so those who can afford even to sit for this examination. This exam was held in 260 cities in the country. 260 cities in the country in 6 phases. So this itself shows that there is an effort and initiative to especially those whom we are saying that there is a big section of the society which is marginalized, which national education policy talks and stresses about and has called them socially, economically disadvantaged group, SEDG group. So for such students who belong to this group, there was an opportunity at least to sit for that examination, because otherwise an examination takes place in 10 odd metro cities or 15 odd metro cities. So this impact we need to understand. There are challenges. See, this is the first time it happened. But what is it which was there on platter for a wide section of the society who wanted that their children should go and study in universities, in state universities? Because state universities, time and again, we also have to see. I just want to make one small point.
You can sit for the exam, but you're unlikely to get in, right?
No, the point is if it is being that they won't be able to get admission here, there. See, it is they will go and sit for, otherwise go for NEET or not sit for this particular exam. See, this is a choice of those people, of the applicants, of their parents, where they want to go and take admission. So the choice is theirs. The universities also have a choice. States, please. We also need to understand that the state universities, because education is a concurrent subject and a major amount of budgetary is expected from the state, not from the center. I mean, center gives them the budget for it, but the power of spending is with the state. So it is not possible for the center to, like, your idea is wonderful that to raise the standard of the boards It is not that it has not been deliberated upon. But to do this exercise, all the state governments have to have that intent to give that much importance and do that exercise. So this exam is there, and state universities, only those who want to join it, they only will join. It is not mandatory. So we need to keep these things in mind.
Okay, let's talk about this, where an important point was raised about dummy schools. What exactly is the danger of dummy, what are dummy schools and what is the danger of dummy schools?
Dummy schools, I can tell you that already they are mushrooming, and either these schools are inviting coaching centers inside their premises, or they align with coaching centers, they get admission, they get the money, children never come to school, they do not participate in practicals, any school activities, nothing. They take only coaching and they appear for board exam through the school affiliation. That is dummy school. So when we are talking about dummy school, it is only for science students, very minuscule percentage of students were going to dummy schools now. Now, it's on a larger platter, because even humanities students also, they have to prepare. I'll tell you one thing, because 3 sections are there. One is 2 languages, then 6 domain subjects, then mathematical, logical, reasoning and current affairs and all. So parents think that unless they go to coaching center, they cannot crack this CUET. And had it been the case that at least like IIT professors, they now decided 75% of CBSE score is mandatory to qualify. We just wanted some weightage should have been given to CBSE board exam.
That's so a very important point. So under CUET, no weightage at all is given to your marks in class 12. Am I right?
Yes. So why a child will come to school? Where is the incentive?
Why should they come to school at all? Yes.
Even for parents also, they are thinking pay money to the coaching center. Why they will spend money on schooling? It's not required.
Yeah, correct. So, Professor, but I'm sure you agree that some weightage has to be given to your students' performance in class 12 and 11 and 12, right?
Yes.
That amendment is necessary.
Well, this definitely, it can be, this is something which can be discussed and looked into upon. And I think, as I understand, the universities have the choice of deciding among their senates or their academic and executive councils, where they can take this call that their eligibility into their university, their programs will be based on certain percentage of their board exams and certain percentage of the CUET exam.
That's for the future, right?
Yes, that is something which can be deliberated upon, and the way the consensus will come from the society from such type of discussions. These kind of, changes, modifications, definitely one can look into, and the universities can take a...
You have to do it.
And the universities can take a call, because you see, they can decide on that.
Can't take a call. So, can I just comment? Yeah. There seems to be a contradiction in government policy. One is, on the one hand, a national education policy says every college should become autonomous, right? On the other hand, CUET says that you have to admit students only according to the marks you get in CUET. St. Stephen's College said, we are an autonomous organization, let's admit some people by giving some weightage to the interview. That was overruled by the Supreme Court, am I right?
Yes.
So
yes,
today the situation is that the institution, a private college or university has no autonomy to admit students according to their choice. Am I right?
No, Dilip ji. See, the case of, I would just like to clarify, especially because this is a minority institution that you talked about. Okay. There, the question was for those seats. There are 50% seats are reserved for Christians and 50% are open. So those which were open seats, those where any other regular, student, for that they said, since they are a part of University of Delhi, so they have to follow the norms that have been decided by the university. And for whatever are their reserved seats, for that they can decide as in, whatever norms they wanted, they could keep for it. And that is what was the contradiction.
But they will become autonomous because of LaliT, then they can do it.
Sorry?
Then they will become independent of Delhi University. That is their choice, they can do it.
Yeah. Okay, you go ahead. Yeah.
So, Arunab.
I'm a little confused. Are we questioning the vehicle of testing, or are we questioning the content of testing? I can understand the content of testing getting questioned, but if I am going to ask questions that are based on rote memory, then my pedagogy is going to suffer. But in terms of the vehicle of testing, it is simplifying things and putting everybody on the same bar. While this year, such a big system getting rolled out, these children, some of them have had a raw deal, but you're starting to see at university there is a better spread of states that the university is seeing on campus. So where is a challenge in that one central exam doing it?
So let me come in here.
Yes.
The content certainly will be revised, deliberated upon, and that can be improved upon if there is any problem. As far as this vehicle is concerned, in fact, this vehicle is also, let us say it is hybrid vehicle of 21st century, there is no problem. We are talking of the unintended consequences. Repeatedly, we are saying that thing only. And also, it is not that it caters to everybody. The fact is, when IITs thrive on coaching, and in IITs there is a crisis today, IIT professors are conducting research that why these young graduates do not know anything about the country. Why they don't know about the value system? Why they don't know about the heritage of the country?
Because they studied only for the test.
Because in quota it is not taught, right? What we are saying is that now we are entering into another gray area, creating a new vehicle through which the same thing is going to happen with a larger number of students. And therefore, we are only suggesting that please do not ignore the contribution of schooling in the lives of the children.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
As it is, IIT and NEET coaching has started to begin with class 6. Now this...
So you're saying don't go the IIT way.
Don't go the IIT way. And have CUET. I have said in my first opening sentence, don't ignore at the cost of schooling, don't do it. Okay?
So don't devalue the school system.
That is the point we are.
The higher secondary system. Yeah, I think that's absolutely true. You cannot totally devalue higher secondary education and open the doors for coaching. I think that's definitely not in the national interest, because as these ladies pointed out, Sudha and Abba, that there's much more to education than passing exams. Basically, that's the point you're making. Am I right?
Absolutely, and today when students are having all these problems of depression and all, they need a society. I mean, what we are doing through entrance exams is depriving them of that society, of that peer, that luxury. And you know, education is when you also have leisure to assimilate what you learn in the classroom and outside the classroom. You are eroding both the spaces by bringing in a system which will only want a coaching center, which will only need the student to do MCQs, and you know, that is another kind of rote learning. You are depriving the student of that
By
culture.
MCQs, you have to tick off boxes. Is that what you mean?
And also trick questions, you know, and right now the thing has just started.
So essay writing and all is no value.
And you know, nowhere in the world, your life is hanging through one examination. This whole idea that the student will be able to take one examination and that is in the benefit of the student, the answer is no.
So what is SAT? What is SAT in America?
Absolutely. Along with SAT, it is actually the student performance in their school and all, which also matters. SAT is only
Some
one part.
weightage is given to school performance also in
the
SAT,
other
right?
thing which I want to say is that for a country to say that boards are giving marks which are undue, and to overlook that or to deal with this, we will create another problem. I think that is where we are going wrong. Yes. Marks are being inflated because of two reasons. I think it is when you want to buy students and parents support, even when you are not performing. So marks inflation is basically you give marks when you are not performing, you give them, and therefore there are no questions asked of the school system. So it is about that, and the other pressure is that if there is a fight for a single university, everybody wants to reach there. We saw first Bihar was giving Bihar board and all students coming from Bihar. Then we had Rajasthan and Haryana students reaching Delhi University much more. Then in the last 3 years it was Kerala, because they want to occupy the same space through this. percentile method, where you will say topper of one board, whether they are at 85, is topper, is equivalent to anybody who is getting 100 in the other board. It is that percentile method which will actually control and, you know, a 60 marks.
How do you say, when I secured my 100, some other child got 100 because 20 marks were moderated, and now you're going to tell both of them that both of you are 85 because the other board topper is 85. This doesn't make sense.
No, wait. What we are saying is that, you know, there were times when people used to get first division, and you will see that today students are getting 98% and they cannot write a letter. Now we have to understand what we have done to our children. That is marks the main thing, or is the education the main thing?
So the way I understand it is, first priority should be to homogenize school boards, right?
The way they mark.
The way they mark.
You have to have a Gaussian curve.
Yes.
I mean, your 100 is true 100 and other person's 100 is not true. That is also not okay, no? If you will say that 100 marks earned in Haryana is more important than 100 earned elsewhere, that is also not acceptable argument. How do you say this? You will also have to see that 100 marks earned in Mathura Road or Barakhamba Road is more, you know, maybe easily earned than a person who is going to a school where there are no chairs.
But that doesn't
no
address the
bathrooms.
problem. It just complicates the problem.
No, these are also important things. I mean, what I'm saying is that 100 of everyone will be to be respected, and you will have to.
No, but what about the 80s and the 90s?
Yes.
That's
So I mean, similarly, percentile mein to abhi bhi ye, what has happened in CUET. Sociology paper was taken twice, and then percentile was created and merged.
But isn't it well known that the Bihar board, for example, is much more liberal in its marking, and if Delhi University gives equal weightage to the Bihar board and to say some other board.
Go by
the belief it's
international
the only
benchmark.
board in the country that is not moderating the board exam results. So actually it's the Bihar board is the only board that is not moderating exam results. It is the
Moderated meaning?
Maybe
Not
because they need
inflated.
not moderate it also.
Inflated, you mean?
Yeah.
So they're not injecting marks in the mark sheet.
So they can't reach Delhi University at all. That's
One-
your
one-
problem.
But now they can because there is CUET.
No. One more point
They're
I
not
would...
prepared for QET. No,
I would
that's
like
it's
to
a chicken and egg
highlight
thing.
one more point I would like to highlight. If you go by international benchmark also, they are taking our child's profile, like how the child is concerned about environment, how much community engagement program, what is the value system of the child. Through CUET, are we really assessing these parameters? It's only single score. Even CUET scores have been normalized. Isn't it? And a child who wants to shift from science to, suppose, say, history or sociology, how can the score of physics, chemistry, maths grant admission to the child in course of history? Or if the child has not studied history in class 12 and sit for history entrance exam, has to go for coaching? Isn't it? This is one more dichotomy.
I think this,
One additional
unfortunately,
sentence, I understand. This whole thing of, you know, it is being made as if CUET has created new opportunities. Let me tell you, not a single seat has been added to the universities. Opportunity for more will be created when more colleges and universities of quality education will be opened. Now,
demand and supply
Now, I
chain.
also want to say this. Yes, it is true that many students would not have applied to a university, but today it was a click of a mouse. Finally, admissions will be only to 1.5 lakh of students.
You know, 10 seconds I'll just take. I just want to add that, you see, what is coming out of the discussion is that the coaching coaching phenomena has now started because CUSET has been introduced. Was it that coaching? Kindly allow me to speak.
Yes.
So, coaching was a thriving business. It has been there for decades. It's not because of CUSET that it has come.
No, but it's only
now the
been
point is,
restricted to IITs
the point is that there is a special emphasis by the government and by the UGC that these exams every year, their NCRT of course is going to be the reference point, the books, but the pattern of examination will be different and will be announced before the examination to counter this coaching culture. But at the same time,
that's only a promise,
the kind of questions that are going to be framed, they are going, they will be based on the SSCT. Kindly allow me to say. And they are also thinking of introducing this twice a year, not only just once, but twice a year. So, the point is that what was there on the platter for crores of students, 12th class students who are there in the country, especially SEDG, which are being brought in the discussion again and again, but I'm sorry to say, I don't think that in this hall there is anyone representing that section. No. But the point is that this has given an opportunity to students belonging to, especially to SEDG, that they have an opportunity to sit through one exam, that is that they are going to be paying only once, and through that they will become eligible to apply to a large number of state universities.
Yes.
So we need to look at, there are challenges.
That's a very good point.
That we need to look into.
Professor Bhatt, that's a good point. But merely the fact that you're able to appear for a written examination doesn't mean you're likely to succeed in that examination. So I think this has been a very stimulating discussion. We are time up. Thank you very much. All of you made it a stimulating discussion, a lot of food for thought. But the conclusion is CUET is
Dilip,
a noble intent.
Before you conclude, we'll take 2 questions.
Oh, okay. Yes.
We've got some people eager to ask some questions.
Yes, sorry. Yes, please, sir.
Yes, please, sir.
Can I?
Yes, Robin. We'll come back to you, sir. We've got Robin. Yes, Robin.
My point is, good afternoon. This is academic discussion because CUET is a reality, good or bad. I was looking for some solutions as a private school owner. I haven't got a single solution from this discussion, except aligning with
but you've understood the problem, right?
I understood the problem, but I was looking for a solution.
You're not likely to get a solution easily.
Right.
So what's the solution to this very complex problem?
For a private school, what
is the problem?
My problem is, students are going to coaching institutes, except what Arnab said, that align yourself with the coaching institute, or do coaching institute coaching directly. That's a reality on ground.
I'm saying teach children what they need for the next step.
My
if coaching center can teach
it,
why
children
can't
what the
we
coaching institutes teach.
The CBSE regulation doesn't allow you to do so.
This social transformation
Centers will never give education in the true sense. Coaching center cannot provide education.
You have engineers taking dowry.
It's not a dowry discussion, but the previous format or the vehicle in which you were sending these kids to university was flawed. I'm saying this is less flawed.
Coaching centers will not provide learners who can think.
Pretty much.
One second. Coaching. Yeah,
yes, sir. Yes, Goyalji.
I want that Ms. Gita should answer the very pertinent point raised by Sudhaji, that where is the student's profile consideration? Is it we are only talking about the academics? This is also again a structured system of examination. Where is the other qualities are assessed, whether the social responsibility, corporate responsibility, or the sports achievement and the leadership qualities are not to be considered? Are we still going to follow the same system that the marks will be only criteria? So it is another form of that rote learning or something through the coaching centers. I know what is happening in the coaching centers. They are having tests every day, and they are just saying that this is the only way to answer the question, and this is the answer. So again, we are encouraging the rote learning.
And you will have paper leak, and that will stop the admission of the universities.
Sir, definitely, yes. I think what the question that you have raised is, it is important. But my counter question is that earlier, when just on the CBSE or any board marks basis, when the admissions were being done, even then there was no such parameter which was taken into consideration, which you have just raised. That was taken into admission, because you have asked about the admission process. So in the admission process, nowhere in those terms was considered. Yes, but the cultural, based on cultural activities, based on sports activities, admissions are being done where those students who have qualified a particular examination, but they are under CUET, the universities, they take the admissions based on their, their cultural performances, or, their excellence in cultural activities and various kind of sports. That process is still there. So at least these two parameters, but yes, there should be some method where leadership qualities and there are various other aspects 14 parameters you just mentioned, you
Yes.
are going to evaluate and
Yes.
judge the schools based on that.
Yeah.
So they could
So-
be, yes, if something maybe in future would be evolved. But this was not there earlier also, this is just
Yeah.
for
It was there earlier.
clarification.
It was there earlier. ma'am.
Damodar sir.
CBSE exam takes 20%
Okay.
internal and 30% internal. Formative assessments are considered in CBSE exam. So it
Madam,
was there.
Exactly. वही मैं कह रहा था जो आप कह रहे हैं.
Yes.
we know how schools do the formative.
Gita ji, if we are changing to some new system
Yeah.
and we are introducing some new system, if something
Sir,
was
that
missing
will
in
happen
earlier
in national
system-
education
No, 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 no.
policy, but it will
You-
take at least a
you-
decade to happen.
No, 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 no.
It is not going to happen in a day.
You are taking a ground, or I should interpret in a strict manner that whatever we were doing earlier in a decentralized manner, now we are doing it in a centralized manner. There is nothing new.
See,
No, anyway, the
Yes,
whole
one point is
point
that
is,
national education policy addresses the concerns that you have raised, but it will take a decade
Okay,
to
last
actually
question.
consider all these as part of evaluation, sir.
okay,
Sir,
Okay,
no.
we'll continue this
I
conversation.
appreciate the passion, it's a very
Yes,
important
it is not
subject.
Bhagavad Gita, I agree. NEP is not Bhagavad Gita, that is what you are trying to say.
I just introduce myself. I'm Rohit Sani. I run a small school in Durgapur. It's a passion what I do. Apart from that, I am an ex-IITian. And I happen to be the vice chairman of the Alumni Association till about 3 years back. I still
Of IITs.
of the
Yes.
IIT alumni.
Yeah.
We have been deliberating on this coaching thing for ages now. We've approached the various ministries, various education secretaries. We go through all these IES who themselves have, most of them, been the product of the coaching systems. We all know that. I mean, there's no harm in saying that, but it's a fact of life. There is a small example I want to say which actually corroborates what Dr. Abha was saying, is that there is a college in Calcutta from where I hail, and there is this is an autonomous college called the St. Xavier's College. Now this college for the past 8 years has been taking admissions from various boards, and they're taking it on marks. And like what Dr. Abbas mentioned, they have a percentile system in place wherein ISC, if you are from an ISC board or a CBSE board, because the Madhyamik board in West Bengal is very miserly in awarding marks. So they have a percentile system where they deduct in this, and a school is
They
just,
use their discretion.
yes, and a school is just not academics. I totally
Many
concur
things.
and I
Yeah.
totally agree.
Exactly.
So I mean,
so that is
we
what I'm
just do
saying.
away and let's have robots.
Exactly, sir.
I mean,
So what
sorry.
I'm saying is,
And we are meeting this on the 29th, this Saturday, we are meeting at IIT Delhi, trying to, you
Do
know,
something, sir.
Do
Do
something.
something.
I can tell you, I am 0.001% confident that something will probably reach there.
Point 001.
Sir, 1 minute, sir.
Okay, last,
Sir, 1 minute. Sir, what sir said, just I want
Introduce yourself,
to...
sir.
I am Gangadhar Rao from Sri Chaitanya,
Okay.
from
Techno School,
Sri Chaitanya
Hyderabad.
Techno School, Telangana.
Hyderabad,
Yes, sir, yeah.
Telangana.
not Chaitanya coaching, no?
No, sir. Techno School. No, I want to tell he is alumni of IIT. Even my son is from IIT.
Okay.
So what I want to tell him is, or suggest when he goes for those meetings, let him change the examination pattern. Whatever the pattern he is giving, all coaching centers are coming up because of the pattern. Because in 1980s, IIT's exams are different, where everybody should go to school and give, then they are right.
You're saying change the IIT examination entrance
Sir, I will
pattern.
tell you. Yes, sir. A 1980s examination pattern gives the whole idea of the education in class 11 and 12, whatever they study, and the importance for the schools. Nowadays, after 2002 or 2008, and the examination patterns are MCQs, that's the reason even Government of India is going for NEP. NEP, where we get multiple choice questions, these things are happening because of the main system in engineering, IITs. And those days, IITs are having their own individual examinations, and now that is not happening.
Can I respond to one thing? You know, when NET exam started,
That's sir, before sir, 1950s
Thank you
IIT
so much,
started.
sir.
That's what I'm telling. Please, you are making.
So IIT is the root of all evil.
IITs have changed their examination
Most of the
pattern.
coaching institutes
IITs have
are
changed
run by
their
IIT.
examination
Can I
pattern.
say something?
Can we, sir, let her answer.
I will
We'll
respond
take it
to
up.
this.
Thank you so much.
Delhi University used to take on the basis of class 12th marks. In few subjects, there was, for example, for journalism or something, there would be some entrance exam. Similarly, for some time. Similarly, NET exam, when it started, it had objective and subjective. It is when you do something for mass, you know that mass checking is not possible. So if you are running an exam for say 50 students, 150 students, 500 students, you can have subjective type questions. Even PhD entrance exam when Delhi University started had subjective thing. JNU had subjective thing because teachers then would sit and evaluate it. But when you run something centralized, when you run it for 14 lakhs, then you are looking at MCQ only because there is no way otherwise that you can start your academic session on time. So it is because of that hugeness that there is a decay and we are only moving towards MCQs. But you have to see that, you know, what I lost as a science student, I was very happy when my son took humanities, social sciences, because I felt that he is enjoying his, you know, going to school, performing, and when you are saying that, you know, yes, every student may not be evaluated in cultural activities, but just because they are going to school, they are participating in something more than what is being taught in the classroom. And it is what you are taking away. What happens is that the policy makers, they knew that only science students, which is like 25% in any school, are the only people who are going to coaching centers, how to increase their market. And the market was increased by putting humanities, social science also on a track where they will have to appear for MCQ. No humanities, social science, English, literature, understanding of any this can be assessed by MCQs. You have to look at expression, you have to look at their cognitive strengths, and this is being eliminated. The chance of performing in all of this is getting eliminated. To understand society
so much.
through MCQ is not possible.
You.
Very passionate defense. I think very stimulating discussion, very passionate defense, good views expressed. I'm certainly enriched by this conversation. Thank you very much. We see the pros and cons of CUET, but like I said earlier, we in education, we measure schools across 14 different parameters. I think it's very wrong, it's very dangerous to only admit students into excellent institutions on single criterion. Now, how that problem has to be solved to admit them on multiple criteria is in fact for educationists to solve. You have to apply your minds to it and improve the system, but it's let's not go back to that system where you admit children only on one single criteria, one examination. I think that's not a good thing.
I think, Dilip, in your criteria, you have board exam results also as a criteria.
Sorry?
Board exam result is also...
But it's just one. Academic reputation is 1 of 14.
Academic reputation, there's no exam.
That's it, 1 of 14. Okay,
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.